Hello, welcome to another video. So today it is my May wrap-up. May. I had a really crappy reading month. I've only read 4 books. I'm calling it 5 books because I've got an hour and a half left of an audiobook that I haven't read yet. That's all I've got left, and it's 6:30 on the 31st at the moment when I'm filming this, so I'm gonna basically get that one finished tonight and just sneak that in as my last read of the month. So yeah, 5 books this month, which for me, my average is about 10 to 12 books a month. So for me, 5 is really low. I think the reason is I read too much in April. I read 18 books in April, and then that just made me kind of slumpy in May, and I just didn't want to read. It wasn't that I was slumping in that not enjoying things, although I didn't have the best time with all of the books I read. I just wasn't wanting to pick anything up. I also was away on a work retreat in May, so for the last week I've been in Italy, and that was amazing, and I loved the chance of kind of like reading with friends on the beach. I think I brought the wrong books. I brought Wheel of Time with me, which clearly I didn't finish. And I think I was more enjoying hanging out with my friends and chatting to the girls I work with rather than reading constantly, even though we did spend a whole day sat on the beach reading. I get fidgety when I'm on the beach, so after about 2 hours of reading I was like, so what can we do now? Anyway, this is going to be a super quick video because I haven't read very much, but here is my May wrap up. So the first book that I read this month was More Perfect by Temi O. This is a book I worked on as part of my job at Tandem Collective, so I'm not going to give you ratings or anything because I feel like if I'm being paid to work on a book, it's not fair for me or for you for me to like rate it. But I thought this book was really good. This is a dystopia. It's set in I think it's set in like 2050, so it's not so huge amounts in the future. But there is something called the Pulse, which connects your brain to the Panopticon, which is basically the internet, so that you can be constantly online. You can talk to your friends pulse to pulse, so almost telepathically. Any question can be answered. The Panopticon can also see if you are about to commit a crime, so crime has been completely eliminated. It is perfectly safe for young women and girls to walk alone at night in this world. And we're following 2 characters, Morimi and Orpheus, who Orpheus was raised very much anti-Panopticon, and Morimi got the Pulse herself when she was about 13. So she's very pro-Pulse, and Orpheus, as he grew up and in later life, started to work for the Panopticon. But the 2 of them realise, is this all it's made out to be? I really enjoy dystopia, and I want to read more dystopian books because every time I read one, I remember just how much I love dystopia. So this is out now, and I would strongly recommend reading it. And come and join me on the read along if you would like. Cheeky plug there. The next book I read was People Person by Candice Carty-Williams. Again, this is one that I read for work, so I'm not going to go through ratings or anything. This follows 5 siblings who all have different mothers. They've never really had a connection to their father or each other, but they know that each other exist. Something happens very early on in the book, and the character that it happens to, it's called Dimple, calls her sister, who she hasn't spoken to in years, and says, what do I do? Help. The sister, Nikisha, gets all of the rest of the siblings involved to help out, and then kind of basically it follows on. You've got this gorgeous, it's a found family of family, if that makes sense. Like they're related, but they're not family, yet they found each other and made a family, and it's just, their relationships are gorgeous. the way that, you know, we've got really interesting discussions around, I guess, around the Black experience or growing up in London. For example, and I'm trying to say this without giving away any spoilers, which is quite tough. Something that happens, basically there is a crime that happens, or a potential crime that happens, and, you know, the initial response is, we cannot call the police, we're Black. They're not going to believe us, we're the ones who will get in trouble. And I just felt that it was, obviously I'm not own voices, I can't speak for it, but I felt as a white reader, it made me really understand where these characters were coming from. And yeah, really, really great book. I think if you liked Queenie, you should give this one a go. Next I read, and I don't have it with me, Iron Widow, which I'll pop up here, by Kiran J. Zhao. This was a reread for me. So as part of the retreat that I was speaking about in Italy, me and 3 of my work friends, Susanna, Juliana and Alexis, all annotated and swapped a book with each other. So I read an annotated Iron Widow and gave it to Susanna. She read an annotated Jade City, gave it to Juliana. Juliana read an annotated Sky in the Deep and gave it to Alexis, and Alexis read an annotated Raw and has given it to me, which I'll show you in the haul when I get to that one. I gave Iron Widow 4 stars on my first read last year, and it's a 4-star. I really enjoyed it. I love the plot, I love the atmosphere, I love the romance. I think the writing is really, really good. The things that just made it not quite a 5-star was the characters, for one. I have come to realise that I really hate the not like other girl characters, and unfortunately Zitan is not like other girls. I think she is done it in quite a good way, because her character is quite strong and independent, and fighting against the patriarchy particularly, and the matriarchy. But the fact that it's something that always like irritates me, where someone has no training and is suddenly the best at everything. And yeah, that just slightly irked me. It also, the other thing, I wasn't the biggest fan of the ending. Obviously I'm not going to tell you why, but I just felt like it sort of came a bit from, it was sort of both predictable and came a bit from nowhere, and that sounds completely ridiculous, but I could see, and again it's difficult on a reread to not be spoiled by the ending, but I could, as I was reading, I could see that it was building to something, and I could guess what that thing was. But then when the thing happened, I was like, actually, the thing that has happened isn't quite what I expected. Yeah, I expected something similar to happen. This makes sense in my brain. It doesn't make sense coming out of my mouth. But yeah, Iron Widow, 4 stars. I do recommend it. I did enjoy it. Yeah, it's a really good read. One sec. Okay, the 4th book of the month that I read is The Problem with Perfect by Philip William Stover. So this is one that I read as a participant on a read along for Tandem. This book is such a cute celebration of queer life. I'm pretty sure every single character in here is queer in one way, shape or form, and I love it. It's fantastic. I haven't actually rated it yet, but I feel like it's probably going to be about a 3-star. Except the characters, well, how do I say this? The idea, the premise, I adored. The writing wasn't the best, in my opinion. There was a lot of telling, not showing. It felt at times like it was trying to do too much. And if I'm totally honest, there's a part of the premise I just had to suspend my disbelief for, so the premise is that you've got this guy called Chase, who is the star of a TV show. He runs away and doesn't want to be part of it. So his manager, Ethan, who is also his fake boyfriend, gets his twin brother, Beau, to take Chase's part. And then, of course, they start dating. Which, you know, that idea makes sense, but the fact that through the whole book not a single person could tell apart Chase and Bo is ridiculous to me. Including Bo actually went and like met people who Chase was hooking up with. If you're close enough to someone to be sleeping with them regularly or semi-regularly, you'd notice if it's a different person. You know, even just things like no one is, even identical twins aren't that identical that you then the same person. So that did slightly irk me as well. I just felt that I felt like it just needed a little bit more kind of finessing. Like I said, beautiful premise. I love the whole celebration of pride, of queer identity, and also of all of the different levels of queer identity. You know, we've got gay characters, lesbians, trans characters, non-binary characters. We've got drag queens. We've got bi characters. I don't know, everything, absolutely everything. It's fantastic. But yes, I just wanted a little bit more from the writing and the plot, if I'm honest. So those 4 are all the books that I have read this month. I am going to also talk about Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tam. This is the book. I'm listening to it on audio. I currently have an hour and a half left of the audio, so I'm going to go and sit and finish that one tonight. I'm not loving it. I just this morning actually watched a video from Meg with Books, where she read Daughter of the Moon Goddess and said that basically she had the exact same feelings and thoughts that I'm currently having, which is just I'm not loving it. It reads incredibly young to me. It reads to me like, let me hold it back up again. It reads to me like it's the kind of 13 to 14-year-old end of the YA scale, rather than the 17 to 18-year-old end of the YA scale. I prefer my YA to be nearer adult than middle grade. And don't get me wrong, I love middle grade, but if I want a middle grade, I'll read a middle grade. And I feel as well that I'm going not on a tangent now, but I feel like the writing and the discussions in a middle grade are totally different to the writing and discussions that you get in a YA. In my opinion, middle grade goes deeper. But anyway, tangent. So I felt like the writing style was very young. Again, we've got a Not Like Other Girls main character who is the best at absolutely everything, even though she has 0 training and 0 experience, and 0 reason to be the best at everything. So that irritated me. The love triangle, I'm not a big fan of. You know, we had this character kind of come in out of nowhere and be like, I'm in love with you forever and ever. Who are you and why? Like, this is it, we don't get the why. We don't get shown why she is so lovable. She just is, because she's the greatest and not like other girls. And that irritates me. So yes, unfortunately, even though this is probably one of the most beautiful books in my possession, I think it's going to be sold. I haven't finished it, so I haven't rated it yet, but my gut feeling is that it's going to be a 3-star at most. Yeah, I just feel like the characters aren't fantastic. It's jumping around a lot. I mean, we've gone on about 10 different quests that make no sense, that don't add anything to the plot, as far as I can tell. We then got to a point which would have been a really perfect stopping point if you've read it, when they got told that that she needs to go and find the dragons. That would have been a perfect cliffhanger stopping point, and then had a second book. But no, we're just going to carry on and go on another quest. And at this point, the quests just aren't exciting. We've gone on so many. All of these mythical creatures that she has killed because she's the best and the greatest of all time. And it's like, well, are you? Why? Why are you the best? How are you the best? So that irritates me quite a bit, as you can probably tell. Yeah, the writing felt young. The plot just is a little bit all over the place. It doesn't need to be as long as it is. It could have been wrapped up within 400 pages. I'll be totally honest with you, I'm tempted to DNF, other than the fact I've got 1.5 hours left. So I'm going to finish it, but it's not for me. I understand lots of people love it and I can appreciate that, but it's not for me. The other book that I'm currently reading, which I will not get to finish this month, is The Dragon Reborn, the third book in the Wheel of Time. I am that far through the book, so I'm up to page 372 and it is 625 pages. So I have got 250 pages left. I think the live show for this one, this is part of the Wheel of Time Along, hosted by Sandra at Got a Thing for Things, and I believe the live show is this weekend. Today's Wednesday, so I will be able to get it done by the weekend. I'm enjoying this one quite a lot. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. But yeah, it's a big book and it takes me a while to read it. It's quite a slow paced one. So that is my May wrap up. Let me just stack these ones up. These are all the books that I have read in May. I'm hoping that June is going to be better. Unfortunately, if you saw my June TBR, which again I'll link, I'm not the most excited for the books that were on my TBR for June. So we might just be going quite off-piste for June. And this also means that for July, so I filmed my June TBR quite early and I thought that I was going to read 4 books off my TBR. I did not get to Foul Lady Fortune, did not get to Lady Midnight, and I did not get to The Hawthorne Legacy. So I'm going to need to take 2 additional punishments in July because I didn't read the books that were on my TBR. So yes, that was my wrap up. Let me know how you did this month. Did you read more than me? Probably. How many books did you read? What was your favourite book of the month? And yeah, let me know if you've read any of the books that I have mentioned and what your thoughts were. If you like this video, please leave me a like, subscribe if you would like to, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!